found an extremely dirty love letter in my house, and discovering who wrote it sent me spiraling. I was cleaning the basement when I found a folded piece of notebook paper wedged behind the couch. I opened it and nearly choked because it talked about doing all kinds of things in bed, and went into detailed descriptions of how the night would go down. I felt sick to my stomach realizing that one of my kids wrote this. I just needed to find out who it was and ground them. I stormed upstairs with the letter clutched in my hand like evidence at a crime scene. My 3 kids were sprawled across the living room, and I could feel my face burning as I held up the paper. "Family meeting right now," I announced in the most serious voice I could manage. My oldest daughter, Emily, looked up from her phone with zero concern on her face. "What's going on?" she asked while my son Ryan paused his video game and my youngest daughter Tracy kept scrolling through her tablet. I cleared my throat because I genuinely did not know how to start this conversation. "I found a letter and it's extremely inappropriate and one of you wrote it," I said while trying to keep my voice steady. Emily's eyes went wide and she sat up straighter on the couch. "What kind of letter?" she asked with sudden interest in her tone. I felt my hands shaking as I unfolded the paper and skimmed the first line before quickly folding it again. "The kind of letter that no teenager should be writing," I said while looking at each of their faces for any sign of guilt. Ryan rolled his eyes and leaned back into the couch cushions. "Mom, I literally don't even write letters. It's definitely not me," he said with his arms crossed over his chest. I turned to him with my most intimidating parent stare. "Then explain to me why this was behind the couch in the basement where you hang out with your friends every weekend," I challenged him while stepping closer. Emily jumped in before Ryan could respond. "Mom, before you completely lose it, can I just say that Ryan's friends are idiots, but they're not that kind of idiots," she offered while shooting her brother a look. I whipped around to face her. "And how would you know what kind of idiots they are unless you were involved?" I asked while my voice kept getting higher. Emily's mouth dropped open and she looked genuinely offended. "Because I was here when they came over and I heard them talking about video games and pizza for 3 hours straight," she defended herself while standing up from the couch. Tracy finally looked up from her tablet with a confused expression on her face. "Why are we yelling about a letter?" she asked like she just joined a conversation that started an hour ago. I turned to my youngest daughter and tried to calm down. "Because someone in this family wrote something very inappropriate and I need to know who," I explained while Tracy just blinked at me. She tilted her head to the side. "Can I see it?" she asked with genuine curiosity in her voice. I pulled the letter behind my back. "Absolutely not, because you're 13 years old," I told her firmly. Tracy shrugged. "Then it's probably not mine because I don't even know what inappropriate stuff to write," she said matter-of-factly. I looked at all 3 of my children and felt completely lost. Emily was standing with her arms crossed looking insulted. Ryan was still avoiding eye contact and looked guilty about something. And Tracy seemed totally unbothered by the entire situation. "Fine," I said while taking a deep breath. "If nobody is going to confess, then I'm reading this letter out loud right now," I threatened them. All 3 kids suddenly looked terrified and started talking over each other. "Mom, no," Emily pleaded. "Please don't," Ryan begged. "That's so gross," Tracy whined while covering her ears. I unfolded the letter with shaking hands and started reading the first line when I noticed the handwriting looked strangely familiar in a way that made my stomach drop. The handwriting was mine from 20 years ago. But how did it even get behind the couch? My husband walked through the front door at that exact moment and saw me holding the letter with our 3 kids staring at me. "Hey, did you find my surprise?" he asked with a grin on his face. "I hid that old letter you wrote me in college to remind you how crazy we used to be. I knew you'd come across it while you were cleaning the basement eventually." I wanted to disappear into the floor as all 3 of my kids slowly turned to look at me with matching expressions of absolute horror. Emily covered her mouth and started laughing so hard she couldn't breathe. Ryan looked like he might actually be sick. Tracy shouted while pointing at me. "Mom, you're disgusting! I'm never going in that basement again!"